Truth is like the ocean. It's easy to drown in it. Hey there, I'm CloudQ. Welcome to CloudCast. Life is strange. Both a very true statement and a great game series. I tend to be drawn to certain kinds of strangeness. Mystery, uniqueness, outcasts. Maybe this is why I was drawn towards Life is Strange. Or maybe I'm just into blue-haired girl bosses. We'll never know. Either way, Life is Strange is one of my favorite game series that I've played. And today I want to talk about a certain character from the newest 2 entries. Loretta Rice. But before we get into the theory I have about Loretta, I want to give some context into my perspective of the game. Major spoilers ahead for Life is Strange 1, Before the Storm, as well as Double Exposure and Reunion. When I first watched Life is Strange on YouTube, it was actually quite randomly. The YouTuber I liked was playing the game and I turned into a random episode. Like legit middle of the game. Pretty sure it was like episode 3 of Life is Strange 1. I watched a bit of 2 different episodes, and just that small piece of the game amazed me so much that I got hooked. I spent the next weeks catching up on the game, and like many others, I fell in love with it. The game's ending destroyed me. And as a disclaimer, you are free to like the other ending. My perspective doesn't invalidate yours, but my ending was to save Arcadia Bay. And personally, to me, that ending just feels right. Especially with Chloe asking you to do that. Still, letting go of her taught me that video games can transport such strong emotions. It basically taught me that video games are art. Because it was my first game with such a deep focus on story. Before playing Life is Strange, I mainly played games like Call of Duty and more gameplay-focused games like that, you know? So it was kind of a big deal. Life is Strange 1 changed how I view video games. So you might guess how excited I was when Square Enix announced that there was going to be a prequel, as well as another game by Don't Not. If I remember correctly, I was a little doubtful of Deck 9 at first. A different studio making a Life is Strange game. But man, I was blown away. I loved Before the Storm. I still do. And this may be a hot take to some, but Before the Storm remains one of, if not my favorite Life is Strange game. I loved Chloe, and I felt an amazing connection to Rachel in all her mysteriousness and her unique charm. Especially her emotions and ambitions were something that I really related to. And also what definitely played a big part in how important the game is for me is that I played this game in a very important phase of my life. I was pretty much around Chloe's age, and I had my own kind of struggles in life, you know? So Life is Strange, Chloe, and Arcadia Bay became a sort of comfort game for me. And I actually also met some pretty cool people through Life is Strange Online that I still talk to. All in all, 10 out of 10. Life is Strange is a great game to mature with. I also played Life is Strange 2 as well as True Colors, and I really liked both of them. They didn't quite reach the importance of the first 2 for me, but that's obviously a high bar given my relationship with them. They're both great games to me. I would talk about them more, but I think I'll save that for another time, since I don't want to get too far off track, and they're not as relevant to Double Exposure and Reunion. On which topic, let's dive into those. While a lot of people got very mad at Double Exposure, I actually really liked it. I do think that there are some valid criticisms you can make, but the loudest voices disliking the game just seemed overly mad to me, rather than actually voicing criticism. But personally, I loved the game. I think it did amazing building up Caledon, and all the new characters, the whole mystery unraveling, was so fun to me. I especially liked how they put a new spin on Max's power, and the way that whole thing unraveled throughout the story, gameplay-wise and story-wise. So yeah, I loved the game. I legit only found out after seeing people seething online that I'm apparently supposed to dislike it. But I've never been the kind to let others tell me what to think. Maybe I got that from Chloe. But yeah, same deal for Reunion, which is still very fresh on my mind. I think Reunion is freaking good. If Double Exposure is a good game, Reunion is a great one. It also actually fixes some of the parts of Double Exposure that I wasn't as fond of by expanding and improving upon them. Genuinely a great sequel. I adored seeing Chloe again, and even as someone who chose Arcadia Bay, I never felt like my choices weren't being respected or anything like that, which I imagine is hard as hell with a game like Life is Strange 1. In a way, the game felt like a love letter to Life is Strange 1 and also Before the Storm. They really went all out, and I think the game especially benefited from being able to build on the foundations of the previous game. The stakes of the game instantly felt a lot higher just based on those previous games. It felt far more linear and focused than Double Exposure, and while that's different, I think it works perfectly with the story of the game. Different does not mean worse, you know? But I think that's enough of an impromptu review for now. I just do love praising art that I enjoy. Now, before we get to the specific theory and character I want to talk about, a quick word from today's sponsor, The Abyss. Are you sick of the hustle and bustle of modern society? Sick of managing your work-life balance? Let us bring to you endless nothingness, a conscious one. Bathe yourself in the all-consuming, slowly but surely expanding nothingness of the abyss. I've been told it's quite relaxing. Are you interested? Don't worry about logistics. The Abyss will find you, and the payment too. Visit their website by staring at your turned-off monitor for 9 minutes for more information. Not that there's much more to say. Thanks again to The Abyss for sponsoring the episode. Now, on to Loretta. Who is she? Loretta Rice is a student at Caledon University who has a major interest in journalism in the form of her own podcast, a true crime podcast initially called Get a Clue. She has a ton of drive and does whatever she needs to get and uncover stories. She cares a lot about making sense of the world around her and considers it right to uncover the truths and mysteries that she finds all around her. Max initially labels her as annoying and a blackmailer, which I guess blackmail kinda does justify finding someone annoying. And Loretta does come on incredibly strong at times, but that comes from a place of genuine desire to do good, as she considers her investigations just that. Uncovering the truth, which she sees as important and just. This is further shown on the Abraxcast that she creates in Reunion, or before Reunion. Towards the end, when you uncover the truth about the Hall of Secrets, she concludes that Ren's extreme actions of trying to literally burn down the school happened because he was denied the truth about what happened to his father. And she's not wrong. She can be a very, morally gray character, the way she can be manipulative to uncover things. But she has a very consistent moral code that drives her actions. Now, why do I find her interesting? I think her passion is infectious, and I relate to that a lot. She can also be slightly awkward while pursuing ruthless journalism the next minute. I kind of feel that. And not only is that passion something that is intriguing as hell to me, but it also reminds me of another amazing character from Life is Strange, Rachel Amber. And maybe that comparison also comes from a visual place though. She very much has similar features to Rachel from Before the Storm. Definitely not the exact same, but similar enough that when the game first dropped trailers with her, people started theorizing if she is Rachel, which I think is a stretch. Life is Strange's world is crazy, but I don't think Rachel would both be a shapeshifter as well as a phoenix or a zombie, I don't know. However, this brings me to my theory, which I think works a little better than that. I think that Loretta Rice is Rachel Amber's half-sister. Hear me out. The visual similarities are something that both of them share with Rachel's real mother, Sarah Gearhart. I'm not into science or genes, so help me out if you're more knowledgeable with that, But even the eye colors make sense. While Rachel has her iconic hazel eyes, Rachel's mom, Sarah, has gray eyes. Guess who has gray eyes too? Loretta Rice. I think overall visually it just fits if you compare them. Similar build, faces, hair, like even the way their hair falls is similar, which could indicate similar hair structure. But more importantly than the visual similarities, which I do believe are intentional, we know for a fact that Loretta Rice is adopted. We don't know much about her mother, but apparently her father is in fact supportive of Loretta's efforts to search out her real mother. Now of course, I think we should check the dates. Does this even line up? Is it even possible between the events mentioned in Life is Strange Before the Storm? Well, let's get into it. We do know from James Amber, Rachel's father, that after Rachel was born, Sarah had some issues. James, whose word we should take with a grain of salt given his history of repeatedly lying, though I do think he probably didn't twist the truth too much here, according to him, Sarah had a very destructive side to her. While radiant and charismatic, her passionate nature also manifested in more negative ways, namely a heroin addiction. As James tells it, she became an absent mother. She became a danger to herself, James, and Rachel, which is why, eventually, he made the choice to leave with Rachel. This has to have been at a very early age, given that Rachel is completely unaware of these facts. So we can assume that Rachel probably wasn't even 2 years of age when they left Sarah. And Rachel was born in 1994. We don't know what happened in the coming years of Sarah's life. All we do know is that by the time that Before the Storm takes place, Sarah actually got her act together. She became sober for over a year and overall turned her life around because she cared so deeply for Rachel and wanted to meet her. Before the Storm takes place in 2010. So we can assume that sometime in 2009, she started getting sober and doing everything to be able to reconnect with Rachel. But what happened before that? What if, at some point in the 16 years between Rachel's birth and Sarah coming to Arcadia Bay, she tried to start a family again? What if she tried to start a family, but yet again fell into old habits and patterns, leaving her to have another child taken away from her? Loretta was born in 2004. That's 10 years after Rachel was born, but 6 years before the events of Before the Storm. I think that's long enough after James and Rachel leaving to possibly get her to a mental place we'd want to try again to start a family. But also long enough before coming to Arcadia Bay to go through the process of losing another child and eventually getting onto the road of recovery. Maybe, if my theory is correct, losing Loretta actually was another factor in her pursuit of soberness. Maybe she also wanted to find her second child again. I truly think that the dates line up really well. I also have to say that captivating energy that we hear James describe in Sarah and that we experience firsthand in Rachel, I honestly think Loretta has that too, just in a completely different way. And perhaps that is due to her upbringing. Unlike Rachel's politician-like father, Loretta seems to have a very supportive and honest father. Rachel is mysterious throughout both games that feature her, directly or indirectly. She herself is a mystery, to those around her, probably to herself too. Then Rachel also has big goals. She wants to be a model, an actress, classic dreams of Hollywood. A goal that she wants so badly, it eventually leads her towards her death. Yet, her ways are not without flaws. She lied to Chloe about some things, most likely to Frank and Nathan too. Lies and mystery are an integral part of her as a character. Now, let's look at Loretta in comparison. She does have the same ambitious nature, big goals that she wants to achieve. She lives those goals, doing whatever she can in pursuit of journalism. And she can also be manipulative to those she encounters in her research. She even turns to blackmail if she needs to. I see a very strong resemblance in them in these regards. And maybe that resemblance comes from the genes that they possibly share. Maybe that behavior is rooted in their connection to their biological mother, Sarah. However, there's big key differences too. I described Rachel as being a literal mystery. Loretta is the exact opposite. She's very honest, even in her more aggressive tactics, and she does it all in pursuit of the truth. If Rachel is a mystery, then Loretta is truth. But I think even this key difference makes perfect sense in regards to my theory, because it perfectly reflects their upbringings. Rachel's father lied to her and kept the truth from her for years, only telling her the truth after she was already onto him. And she channeled that traumatic revelation into her mysterious, chaotic nature that defines her so much. Meanwhile, Loretta's dad was apparently very open and honest to her. He supported her desire to find her mother and was honest about the adoption from early on. Through this, Loretta probably developed her strong moral code and her ideal of truth. So, have I convinced you yet? I don't know if we will ever get an official answer or confirmation of my theory, but I quite like the theory and I can imagine that it was Deck 9's intention. Either way, it's my personal headcanon. It just makes too much sense not to be true. It also makes me appreciate Loretta's character even more than I already did. So, what do you guys think, my dear listeners? Is there anything I missed? Any more hints towards this theory? Anything that disproves it? Please let me know in the comments if you have any more findings that I missed. Now, before I end this episode, I want to pitch an idea that I need in my life. Deck 9, hear me out. Loretta's pursuit of truth is one of my favorite narrative devices in Double Exposure and Reunion. She pushes the story forward with her investigations, and in that sense, she actually reminds me a lot of young Chloe and Max. So what better character for a DLC or even another game? I imagine a DLC to be more realistic though. Something like the Wavelengths DLC from True Colors. I really think Loretta is the perfect character for something like that. Between her investigations and her podcast, there's so much to explore around her character, regardless of my theory. Personally, I think it would be so peak. I've even heard other people talk about the idea of a Loretta DLC, so please, hear my plead. Deliver us Peak, my favorite Life is Strange studio, Deck 9. Thanks. That was my personal development pitch. Thank you for hearing me out, and thank you so much for watching the whole episode. Please like and subscribe to show some love for Reunion and help me get us another DLC. Maybe share too. I truly hope this is not the last we've seen of Deck 9 or Life is Strange. Either way, thank you so much. This was CloudCast Episode 1, Loretta Rice. I'm CloudQ, and I will see you next time. Goodbye for now.